Good night, wherever you are around the planet. Welcome to the continuing adventures of World Endangered Writing Day. So one of the really interesting issues facing any consideration of scripts beyond the mainstream is that they may have a purpose, a usage, a domain, a method of communicating information that is entirely different to what it is that we in the West are used to. And instead of thinking in terms of translation, and of course those of you who are professional translators already know this is a no-no, instead of thinking of translation as being this word means this, and realizing that making that bridge is like a big cultural journey in itself. You know, what happens when you have a translation of script to the point where the people who used it, the reasons they used it, the degree to which it was public, the way it was taught, and the way it appears to the eye is utterly different to us, to what we are used to. And I was fortunate enough to talk on several occasions with our next guest while she was in the process of sorting out how do you do that? How do you make that extraordinarily multidimensional set of leaps when you are introducing somebody to not only a new script, but an entirely new culture and an entirely new way of understanding script itself. So I am delighted to introduce my friend Jade, who has spent several years now developing a massive online course that introduces the Dongba script, which is one of the, I would call it, traditional minority scripts of China, and has been grappling with all of these challenges. So Jade, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, afternoon, or good evening, my dear colleagues and friends, because I'm from Geneva, and it's evening now. I'm Jade Wang Szilas from University of Geneva. And thank you very much, Tim, for your invitation. And thank you and your team for organizing this exciting event.
Brilliant. And to those of you who are unfamiliar with the Dongba script, then that is exactly what is behind Jade, looking like, and I think there's a pun here, wallpaper. Right. There's so much for you to talk about, and it's visually so interesting. Plus, you have some wonderful video materials as well. So, for once, I'm just going to shut up and stand aside and leave you to tell our audience about what you were working on and now what you have in fact achieved and launched.
Thank you very much, Tim. I'm so glad to have this opportunity to present the MOOC, MOOC, Massive Open Online Course. The title of the course is Initiation to the Dongba Script. And my background, you will see that is a manuscript, Dongba manuscript, that I found in the Museum of Lijiang in China this summer. Okay. So what is Dongba script? And it is a hieroglyph-like writing system used by the Naxi ethnic group in southwestern China, with around 300,000 people. It's often called the world's only living pictographic script because Naxi shamans, known as Dongba, still actively use it for religious rituals, interpreting sacred texts, and preserving history. And the Dongba ancient script was inscribed in the UNESCO Memory of the World Register in 2003 as a documentary heritage. However, this invaluable graphical and cultural heritage of humanity is in danger of falling out of use. So for those who are watching this talk will be a bit disappointed because I'm not going to tell you about or describe about the Dongba script, but I'm going to, I will focus on transmission of this graphical and cultural heritage. So the University of Geneva in Switzerland, the National Institute of Oriental Languages and Civilizations in France, and the Beijing Language and Culture University in China joined forces to create a massive open online course, MOOC. And the goal of this MOOC is to preserve and revitalize the ancient Dongba script and the Naxi Dongba culture in a dynamic manner, featuring a multilingual interface. So to kick things off, I'd like to invite everyone here to check out the trailer for the MOOC titled Initiation to the Dongba script.
Of all the languages in the world, half are at threat of becoming extinct. On average, one language disappears every 2 weeks. One of the scripts currently endangered is strongly original. It is said to be the last pictographic script in the world. It is the Dongba script. Let's discover it together. The Dongba script is used among the Naxi people in southwest China by Dongba priests during their religious ceremonies. Dongba characters are sometimes fossilized figures of the natural and cultural environment of the Naxi. This MOOC guides you on a journey with an introduction to the Dongba script and the culture of the Naxi people. It includes the learning of 300 basic characters through multiple activities, covering topics ranging from human beings to daily life and religious ceremonies. This MOOC is the result of an international collaboration between INALCO in France, the University of Geneva in Switzerland, and the BLCU in China. By engaging in the learning program proposed, you will at the same time contribute to the preservation of a unique cultural heritage classified as Memory of the World by UNESCO in 2003.
Okay, in addition to being an international collaborative project, the Dongba MOOC, here I use the short term, is also a multifaceted collaborative project involving a considerable number of individuals, organizations, especially the Naxi people, which I cannot list due to time constraints. As you can see in the pedagogical team, the 5 authors are from different disciplines. Professor Joël Bellassin is the initiator of the project, specialized in the didactics of language and culture. And I am specialized in digital transformation of language and culture teaching. Professor Li Yuming, very famous expert in language policy in China, and Ms. Yang Yihua and Mr. Zhou Ying, both specialists in Dongba writing and Naxi culture. What's more, Ms. Yang Yihua is also Naxi. So among tutors, we have Dr. Emmanuel Laurent, Dr. Li Zihan, who are anthropologists specializing in the Naxi. So we can say that this is really a collaborative work among 3 countries and 3 different universities. And the project involves also 5 dedicated teaching and learning resource production team, 12 experts for interviews and consultation, and 26 Dongba shamans contributing as consultants, along with 10 beta testers and over 10 additional Naxi individuals participating in various capacities. So our didactical principles are the heart of our approach. And there are a number of key components to these principles. First of all, we decided to separate the oral and the written languages because the most important issue here in this MOOC is the transmission of the Dongba script. This choice gives priority to the writing, but it does not ignore the oral expression. And secondly, by applying the concept of threshold level and the principle of economy, that is less is more, we ensure an efficient and effective learning experience with 300 carefully selected characters. So I want to explain a bit of this concept, threshold level. And this is a linguistic concept, or linguistic threshold hypothesis, some people say. It suggests that achieving a certain proficiency level in a second language is crucial for transferring first language literacy skills effectively. This theory is incorporated into the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, so we call it CEFR, signifying a fundamental stage where learners can understand the daily expression, but might face challenges with more complex language tasks. So whenever a language learner passes this level, it means that they can start communicating freely with people in that language or who speak that language. And thirdly, the learning activities are designed to cultivate the ability to recognize and memorize visual signs, thus optimizing independent learning of the Dongba writing system. So that's why we call it visual discrimination ability. And fourthly, with 4 languages, as you will see just now, French, Chinese, English, and German, we offer dual learning, both in terms of content and language, which promotes cultural diversity. And fifthly, we offer a unique double cultural perspective, delving into graphical culture, that is, the culture traits associated with the Dongba characters, the Dongba script. We're also exploring the main features of Naxi culture. Last but not the least, to encourage engagement and collaborative learning, we built a dynamic online community through discussion forums that allow participants to interact and share insights. So these principles are the foundation of our MOOC. They help to create an enriched and inclusive learning environment that transcends traditional boundaries. So I'd like to show you a bit about the course plan. So you will see that the Dongba MOOC consists of 7 modules. Module 1 serves as an introduction, while from Module 2 onwards, each module is composed of 5 sequences, as you can see in the vertical menu. Sequences 1 to 4 focus on learning characters. When I use sequence, this is a term that we use in instructional design as activities, sequence of learning activities. So the horizontal menu allows you to see exactly what is in each sequence, which takes the learner through a learning path based on pictographic writing logic. So sequence 4 is a summary exercise to consolidate learning of the whole lesson. There is a quiz at the end of the module to assess what has been learned. And a badge is awarded to those who have successfully completed all the modules. So the aim is to give learners the opportunity to explore other aspects of Dongba characters and learn how to write it. The summary exercises, the culture section, and discussion forum help to discover the cultural aspects of the Dongba script and to expand on what has been learned with other MOOC learners. And weekly quizzes at the end of the module will validate their success in the module and earn them an achievement badge at the end. So that's how we have realized the design concept. And in each learning sequence, the learning process begins with an instructional video that guides you through the characters. So
fille. Il figure une personne
Videos include
portant
voice-over and subtitles in 4 languages, making the content accessible to different audiences. So I intentionally I took an example of a French version, so you can have an idea about how each language present in this learning content. So for your convenience, each video is provided as a downloadable SRT file. So it's transcription file you can download. So they can review the material at their own pace and deepen their understanding of the Dongba script. And that will be very convenient for the MOOC learners. And then after this video, we start with exercises to access the understanding of single characters and improve visual discrimination ability, meaning that the ability to notice things visually. So each exercise is provided in 4 languages, as you can see in this video. This is also a French version, but you can click on the button above to change the version, language version. Okay. So when we finish that, there's also an exercise to generate compound characters from given single simple characters, which allows learners to explore complementary Dongba characters and guess their meanings. Now we don't teach, we guide the students or the learners to guess the meaning of each compound characters. And you will see that there are no subtitles in the video because the purpose is for exploration, and each answer is available in 4 languages. Okay, and after that, you'll find that there's also another exercise. And this step involves watching a video on Dongba handwriting and engaging in handwriting practice. This enables learners to directly interact with the written word, enhancing their practical skills in Dongba script. At the same time, they can get a meaning of each character. And after all these sequences, at the last, there is a character database available for those seeking to review the characters covered in each lesson. This resource is provided in 4 languages, and the downloadable document is offered for everybody. So as I have just mentioned, there is a summary exercise, and this exercise plays an important role in reinforcing what has been learned throughout the lesson. It provides a valuable opportunity to consolidate knowledge consolidation and also to practice visual discrimination ability. So that's all for the character learning part. And the culture section and discussion forum are designed to enrich participants' understanding of the Dongba writing and allow them to expand their knowledge by interacting with fellow MOOC participants. This segment comprises 2 parts. The first part, I call it inputs, where participants can read presentation or introduction to culture features and watch interviews with experts. And the outputs, where participants are invited to join discussions on specific topics. So as you can see that this is as the culture section that I took from Module 2. In this section, the topic is about the Dongba shaman. So you will find from left to right, mediated text, introduction of Dongba ritual specialists, and animated videos, legendary history of Dongba, and a meeting with a great Dongba. That's watch the video interviews with a great Dongba. His name is He Liming. He is his family name. And I call this part input. And after that, we invite the participant in the discussion. Here, I just want to read out the discussion topic. So in this lesson, you have learned about Dongba, discovered legends and stories related to Dongba, and listened to an interview with the great Dongba He Liming. We know that the Dongba are singular characters in that, on the one hand, they perpetuate the scriptures and rituals of Dongba religion and are the sages of the Naxi people. But on the other hand, they have no fixed place of worship. In which other religions does this phenomenon exist? In your opinion, are Dongba comparable to shamans? How do you define the nature of the hierarchy among the Dongba in relation to other religions? So the students will ask concrete questions, and so that when they discuss, they have their opinions, they can share comments and their opinions precisely. Okay. And so I just quoted some questions from the interview with Dongba, Mr. He Liming, and the interview video is available in its original form, that is, in its original language, accompanied by transcription, accessible directly, and as a download PDF document, as I mentioned just now, and synchronized subtitles in 4 languages. Sorry. So culture plays a very important role in this MOOC. And if we go back to Module 1, you will find notices on several of the major themes covered in the Dongba MOOC: the Naxi people and the culture, the Naxi language and the Dongba script, the preservation and transmission of this language, script, and culture, and the state of Chinese and international research in Naxi studies. We drafted these notes by consulting specialists and scientific references in each field. So it is a rigorous and demanding task, because on one hand, we have to maintain the scientific quality, and on the other hand, we have to make them accessible to the general public. Some of these subjects will be dealt with in greater depth in the culture section of Module 2 to 7, such as Dongba shaman, as I showed you just now, the rituals of Dongba religion, Dongba writing, the production of Dongba paper, and finally the preservation and transmission of Dongba culture. And here is an example, the notice on the preservation of Dongba manuscripts under the preservation category. So that can give you an idea about how this content presented in the MOOC platform. So from 24th April to 25th June 2023, that's last year, the Dongba MOOC ran for the first time, attracted significant global interest with more than 2,000 participants from 80 countries. After participants, more than 440 actively participated by completing the first quiz, resulting in a participation rate of 21%. At the end of the first session, 324 badges. So badges means that for those who have successfully finished 5 quizzes were issued. According to the FUN platform, FUN is the French MOOC platform, French national MOOC platform. It's called France Université Numérique. Both participation rate and the success rate are extremely high, according to them. So, but we also see that the main participants in MOOC are still native French speakers. and that the next turn or next run of the MOOC needs to be promoted in the English-speaking world. That is also one of the reasons that why I'm here. Okay, so I'd like to quickly share some insights from our post-MOOC survey, which received 193 complete responses. The results indicate a very high level of satisfaction with the MOOC. But what I would like to elaborate on our decision is that our decision to implement a multilingual interface. Why multilingual? Why plurilingualism in this MOOC? As course designers, we aim to maximize learning guidance and support, ensure easy navigation for learners, and create a multilingual environment. By creating learning tasks that encourage the exploration of one's multilingual skills, we made a bold attempt to enhance the overall learning experience. So that's from our perspective. But do students appreciate? Do MOOC participants like it? We don't know. And so I'd like to just show you some feedback from students. And here is, we didn't ask this question in the survey. However, we got the participants' feedback, or we can say it's a very hot discussion around this question in the forum discussion. So I'd like to just share you with a one discussion thread about multilingualism in this MOOC from the forum. So you will see that one participant commented on that a MOOC with a multilingual interface is observed. But it seems that some people don't agree, pointing out that, in my opinion, the larger and the more diverse the audience, the richer the communication. And some have also pointed out that the distress and time-consuming nature of multilingual interface for polyglot, that's people who can speak more than 2 languages, so multilingual speakers. And many polyglots, on the other hand, objected, saying that it was truly an opportunity to find everything in a MOOC, and multilingualism helps enrich the learning experience. And by the way, I want to mention that, in fact, all these people who have completed the survey, almost all of these people are multilingual speakers. And some even remarked that there are almost no multilingual MOOC courses available, which is an excellent initiative. That is really encouraging. But the reason why I'm focusing on this issue is that through this MOOC, we tend to explore the role of plurilingualism and multilingualism in the preservation and transmission of endangered language and script. Because we found that most of these courses and most of these communications are in English, because since everybody speaks English, and it's easier for people to transmit the knowledge. And what we want to see is that how about we use different languages, and how will people react to this choice? So here we have several experience and findings. And I think the most interesting for our MOOC designers is that when we design this course, or when we want to design a multilingual environment, we have to take into consideration the different profiles of the participants. And maybe the next step is the design of a multilingual environment should be focused on target public. So as we can see that the potential impact of the project is far-reaching, it could revolutionize attitudes and practices towards endangered language conservation. So engaging in philosophical and linguistic reflection on this topic opens the door to rethinking the complex relationship between language and writing. A fundamental question arises here. Is writing merely a representation or complement of language? One of the objectives of this MOOC is to revitalize endangered languages and scripts from the outside by engaging the attention, interest, and motivation of hundreds, even thousands of learners. But can this ambition be realized? And if so, how? How can the massive potential of a MOOC be fully exploited? Could it go beyond its role as a learning platform to become a research hub, or even supporting citizen science? So this MOOC raises the urgent issue of digital preservation of endangered languages, scripts, and the culture they embody. So this is an issue that we need to think about together. And before I end my presentation, I would like to share some good news. The Chinese version of the MOOC will be officially launched on Xuetang X. That's the Chinese MOOC platform founded by Tsinghua University in a few days, and featuring a self-paced course format with no online tutoring. And the second good news is that the MOOC will be launched for the second time on the French MOOC platform, that's France Université Numérique, in April of this year, featuring a semester-based format with online tutoring. So we warmly invite you to register for this Dongba MOOC. This course is not only free, but also open to everyone. So join us on this educational journey and explore the rich cultural heritage of Dongba. So thank you very much for your listening, and I'm open for the further discussion. And I just want to share you with a Dongba script sent by Miss Yang Yihua, one of the authors, and how to say World Endangered Writing Day in Naxi language.
문에 누리구 무코투그 태우주니와.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I can definitely say I have never heard a World Endangered Writing Day in Naxi language. That's terrific. So yeah, I have a couple of questions, and we have a couple of questions from our audience. I was really interested to see this business of you're asking people to guess the meaning of compound characters, where you have 1-2 characters placed close to each other. A couple of questions. One, my understanding is that the Dongba script is not strictly speaking linear. Is the relationship between the characters a spatial relationship? Does it have different understanding if they're placed in different relationships to each other? And secondly, did you find that Chinese participants in the course who are used to understanding that or thinking in terms of that kind of associative relationship between script elements, did they find that easier to understand than non-Chinese participants?
Thank you, Tim, for your question. I saw that a question passing by just now very quickly, and in the Dongba script there are about 1,500 scripts. Some people say 1,400. Okay, 1,400 and 1,500. And for your question, it's very interesting because if you go into the MOOC, you will find that we have invited an expert, Dongba script expert, Professor Yu Seshen, and to explain why Dongba script is not image but writing system. And there is for some Dongba characters, there's a direct relationship between pronunciation and the script, the writing, but some are not.
Right.
So, but just now, why I show you how to say the World Endangered Writing Day, because you will see that today when people write Dongba script, they try to transcript it phonetically using the Dongba script, Dongba characters that represent the sound. So this is called as a broad words or broad character.
And as I understand it, that that kind of transliteration is actually used quite commonly in old Lijiang city in signage.
Yes, exactly. You will find a lot of signs and road signs, especially. And, they just now I follow several talks, and people say, I heard that people saying, I cannot remember the name of the researcher, saying that the standardization of the writing system is not easy. It is true for Dongba script, but the point is that the Dongba script within Naxi people, and they are not many, there are only 300,000 people, and they try to standardize the writing system, but it was very difficult because the script was created by Dongba shaman in different areas and in different mountains. For example, just for the cloud, the character cloud, you can have more than 15 ways of writing cloud, because in different areas, in different mountains, you see the cloud in different forms. So that's difficult. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And especially if the aim is to represent a cloud rather than the sound of the word cloud.
Yes.
So that leads on to another question I had. So I was interested in seeing some of the examples of the Dongba script in action that you included in the presentation. And a number of them are human figures, are representations of human figures. And this is really interesting to me because on the one hand, there is a tradition of kind of looking down on stick figures, as they're called, as being sort of childish or primitive. On the other hand, that's exactly how in the Olympics, for example, you represent, the different sports. You actually use this kind of simplified human body graphic. I was curious, when you were considering the design of the MOOC, whether you felt the need to get people to stop looking at the script as being simple or childish, and whether you felt there was an importance in kind of getting them to respect it, even if it was graphically sort of fairly simple.
That's a very good question, Tim, because this question is related directly to the didactical or pedagogical design of the MOOC. Among 1,400, 1,500 characters, you have to make a choice.
Right.
As I have just explained, the principle of threshold level, that is that we have to set several principles of selecting the characters. And the big question is where we begin.
Right.
Yes. So where we begin with the first, we have some principles that I didn't share in the presentation for time constraint, because you asked me to present this to spend
Right.
less than
High
25
speed, yes.
minutes for the presentation.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I can explain here now. We use we have several principles, because before this MOOC, I have also co-designed another MOOC, that's Chinese introductory MOOC for French-speaking learners. And this is the same. In fact, the idea or the concept is the same. Is that we separate language we separate speaking and writing.
Yes.
And we focus just on one item in one MOOC. in one course. And then the second rule is that we begin with the simple characters, but simple characters with strong compound capacity. That is, you use one character and you can compose a lot of compound characters. For example, to add just one stroke, and you can form different characters. And thirdly, we form also we categorize these selected characters by using a kind of logic or following the logic of a dictionary as our reference, because we chose there are several dictionaries as a reference, and we have to make choice. So we choose one dictionary, the dictionary of Fang Guoyu, and that version is the base of as the main reference. And then we work. In fact, we spend 1 year just doing this work, selecting the characters to begin.
Right.
And we follow the logic that he used in the creation of his dictionary. So we have the categories, and sometimes we have to also add several several characters that could not fit in our category, because some characters, for example, Dongba shaman, this is the main character. This is very important, although it cannot fit for example, single character with a very big capacity of different compound characters. And we chose that because culturally it has a very important role.
Right. So actually, that's my next question, which is specifically about the shaman and the Dongba, which is very unusual. I don't know if it's unique, but it's very unusual in that the name of the script is the name of a particular user of the script, namely the Dongba priest or the Dongba practitioner. So my question is, as obviously you know, this is a system that has traditionally been used specifically for sacred and ceremonial purposes. How do you convey the impact and the richness of a character that is used and has meaning in sacred and spiritual context to people who, by and large, are not used to characters or letters that have that degree of richness of meaning? And the letter T is just a T, kind of thing. It's an unequal exchange, it seems to me, because we're not accustomed to a character that really is exclusively, or traditionally at any rate, has exclusively had sacred meaning.
I think this MOOC is not designed. First, this MOOC is not designed for everybody, and it's designed for people who are full of curiosity.
Got it.
Who want to discover new things, and that's human nature, So, in fact, we did ask this question in before the MOOC, pre-MOOC survey and the post-MOOC survey, and we asked this question. In fact, a lot of people who want to register this course because they are full of curiosity, they want to discover, and another, especially for those language or those first language is not Chinese.
Right.
They want to discover something that is distant from their own language, their own writing system, and their own culture. So that's curiosity. Curiosity is motivation, and you have to distinguish motivation and purpose. We learn something, we have purpose, because sometimes parents are asking me to do that, or sometimes I need to do it because I need to get credit, or I need to get a diploma or certificate so that I can add in my CV. But this is not the case for this MOOC, because it's curiosity and it's exploration, and our role is to guide people here and help them to explore new things, or totally new things that is distant from their, how to say, normal
Right. Yes.
environment. Yeah.
Yeah. So the MOOC that you announced that is coming up, is that going to be at the same level, intended for a new cohort of students, or is it going to be one that is the next level, more sophisticated?
I see what you mean. In fact, in a MOOC is a massive open online course. So in a massive course, it's very difficult to get people to realize kind of specialized or personalized learning path. And people come here, and so normally, in my opinion, a lot of MOOC course can only serve as a kind of foundation or entry level to certain knowledge or to a discipline. And then, of course, after this MOOC, we have different channels to develop. For example, and just now I followed a talk about graphical design. And it's very interesting. We found that in this Dongba MOOC, we have a lot of graphists.
Sure.
Yes, who attend this MOOC. And they also share their ideas of design, graphical design. They also say that, it might be a good idea that I use Dongba script in my design. You see, it's not, we didn't intend, that's not a result that we intend to have, but it's really interesting to see that how people see that, how people from different cultural backgrounds, when I say different, it means that different from mine, because my native language is Chinese, and I know how to write Chinese characters, but people from, like, for example, French culture, a French language background, and they see things differently. Now, they use Dongba characters to do some graphical design, and that's amazing, I found.
Well, that seems perfectly reasonable to me, because when I began doing the endangered alphabets, I began, carving. And so I was really looking at all of them from a graphic perspective, rather than from, for example, a phonetic perspective or semantic perspective. So I can absolutely see someone looking at these characters as fantastic graphic opportunities, and to be delightfully aware. In fact, I have to say that after doing my first few carvings, all of the next series were in Chinese characters, because I was just fascinated by the fact that, in a Chinese character, you can see the actual stroke order. You can see what I call the drama of writing, where the brush hits the page, where it lifts off the page, which was something completely new to me. And I thought this was the beginning of my thinking about non-Latin, unfamiliar to me scripts, and starting to think outside of that particular box.
I think it's the same in Dongba script. I met some calligraphs in Lijiang. I met one, and yes, I did the Dongba calligraph, and it's the same. You can use brushes. You can also use kind of bamboo cut or wooden cut pencil to write.
I would love to see some examples of Dongba calligraphy. That would be fantastic.
Then go to join the Dongba, join the MOOC.
Okay, all right, it's a deal. It's a deal.
Again, it's free and it's open for everyone, and don't hesitate to to get registered. Okay.
Got exactly. So
Thank you.
one last question. Someone said, are there any plans to offer courses on any other endangered or minority Chinese scripts such as Nushu?
Such as the Nushu, or Shuishu, a lot of other endangered Chinese scripts. And we hope that one day we can do that. Because in fact, what we want to explore or to find out is that from this Dongba MOOC, we can try to find out a kind of massive open online course model.
Right.
It's like a kind of template that can be used or can be repeated by other kind of writing systems or even languages. So we try to find out some basic design principles. So
Right.
my role here is design. So I'm not a specialist in Dongba script or other kind of script. I learned during the process. But my focus is that how to transmit that,
Right.
how to help people to learn it.
And so you're hoping that that will actually suggest some principles of instructional design for the future.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Wonderful.
Thank
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been just great. And you still have the best background screen of any that I've ever seen. You know, all the way through COVID, people were Zooming with backgrounds, but none of them had a Dongba background screen. It's just terrific. Okay.
This background. I just one sentence.
Yes,
This background is from the ceremony to the to Shu, the god. The god's name is Shu. It's the god of nature.
Ah, wonderful. Okay. Thanks again. So I need to wrap up here, which I'm going to do by saying the usual things. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our partners and sponsors for supporting this. On the World Endangered Writing Day page, you will see a big donate button, which would be extraordinarily helpful and kind if you would hit on that and make some kind of donation. We hope that you'll recognize that World Endangered Writing Day is not just the live stream events. It's also a lot of material that we have put on our websites. So there are 3 of them, as you'll see. One of them is our main site, endangeredalphabets.com. One of them is the Atlas of Endangered Alphabets, which has just been boosted by the addition of 100 new scripts, all of them interesting and fascinating and whatnot. And again, that's at endangeredalphabets.net. And then the third one, of course, is the World Endangered Writing Day site, where there's a lot of material specific to what we want to pass on to you during the course of the day today. The ideas in today's activities are in many ways born out of the writing that I did in my new book, Writing Beyond Writing. If we can shuffle this slide forward a couple more, we can even give you the link to where you can find that. Yes, so there you go, www.io.wbw. And this, I'm hoping that you'll find stuff to think about and maybe to get back in touch with us and maybe to suggest future talks and activities. So with that, I'm going to step away. Our next session will begin in 5 minutes. It's our keynote session. And probably more than any other, this really illustrates how writing systems or scripts come to be endangered, why that is important, and what can be done about it. So coming up in 4, roughly speaking, minutes time. And we'll see you then.